Hello everyone. We are live despite what YouTube thinks. They've changed the layout of the stream manager and it is messed up. There's also this strand of hair that's just rebelling against me today. Try to get rid of it. Alright, I am in fact live. Okay, YouTube has finally learned that I am live. I have been live for 5 minutes. And the title of the stream is wrong. Even though I updated it, it forgot to update it. What about Twitch? Are you capable of doing some basic streaming features? You are not. Your title is beyond wrong. I disabled the chat overlay today. Because... Hold on. Let me just get this out of the way. I updated the title already, so now I have to do it again. Because they just ignored it. Both of them. Just fucking ignored it. Somebody please make a Twitch, YouTube, OBS, restream, stream elements, sound alerts, anything else that I'm leaving out, replacement, please. I'm so tired of them. They're so buggy, they're so glitchy, they're so useless. They're incapable of handling even the most basic of streaming features. I genuinely do not understand how streaming is so big and the software is so shitty. Twitter stream, yeah. I don't even want to know what that one's like. $100 and a beer and we have a deal. That is incredibly cheap when I'm asking you to rebuild an entire industry. Let's fucking go. I'm buying you a 6-pack of beers. And $100. I'm not giving you more than that. That's what you asked for. I'm not underpaying you. You're under requesting. Okay, today's stream is going to be very different. And at the same time very similar to my usual streams. So far I have done operating system development and game development. Today we're joining the two. They were already kind of joined because the game was running on my operating system, but now we're joining them in another way. We're developing a new operating system on a new computer, on a new architecture, on a new CPU, on a new... Okay, I'm done. Alright, so what's the plan? Essentially, yes, I have been... Actually, Redacted OS 2.0 might be very accurate. Okay, so I have been doing Redacted OS 1, which is not ready, so we're not quite there yet. There's actually... whoops, my browser's over here. Here, I have a road to 1.0. Here. So we're not doing Redacted 2. I had a name for it. I came up with it when I was walking Jester, and I already forgot what it was. I'll probably remember. Pseudo Redacted OS. Okay, yes. Which is PROS or pros. Okay. Yes, so I've been doing that. It's not at version 1.0, but I've been making games for it. And this week I started prototyping my hacking game idea. So, for a hacking game, you probably need something to hack. So that's what we're going to be developing. We're going to be developing the operating system that is going to run the computers inside the hacking game that you then hack. So just to sum everything up about the hacking game, this is its current state. Last time, I I just built like a very simple world that you walk around and a little menu that you click. And I also created a little prototype for a brute forcing minigame. And then I was thinking about like, okay, what's the next step? And the next step is what I'm going to do today. So I made the menu a little bit better. It actually has options inside of it. And you can click any of them and it doesn't change anything. I'm literally clicking on myself and I'm going to brute force myself apparently. And the hacking minigame, the text, by the way, is all messed up. So it's very small. But the hacking game tells you up here, very, very small. It looks homemade. Fuck off. It is homemade. Come on, keep in mind, I don't even have OpenGL. I don't even have that luxury of having OpenGL. I mean, I do here because this is on cross-platform, but on my system, I don't have OpenGL, so we'll get there to make it look good. Anyway, up here, very small, it tells me how many bits. I'm guessing an 8-bit password. This is my guess. What do you mean there's an ad starting? Shouldn't there have been an ad already? Oh my god, somebody please just remake Twitch, YouTube, OBS, everything involving with streaming software needs to go. We need to start over. It is broken beyond repair. Computing in general, but streaming software is so frustrating to use. All right, we have this thing, right? You're guessing an 8-bit password. You start out at 0 and it tells you here how many bits are different. So it says 6. So I have to find which ones they are. So right there we have 1. I found 1. That's 0, 1. These two are 1, 1. Not that one, but this one. And these two. And there we go. We have the password. Last I built it, it was standalone. Now I built it inside the game. And it even, down here, I created an entire minigame system. Which now, add in progress, 20 seconds. Oh my god, this is so broken. What is Twitch doing, bro? What do you mean you ran a 20-second ad? Is there an ad running right now? I'm so confused. It ended with 5 seconds to spare. Okay, Twitch is just glitching. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I built an entire minigame system. I built the entire menu system for the game. And then I was thinking, okay, how do I know what to display in that menu? Well, that's where an operating system comes in. That's what I'm gonna do. Essentially, the menu in a way will just communicate with the computer and tell you what you can do with it. It's gonna be your main interface for communicating with the computer, or at the very least for like working with the computer. Bro, every single time I stream, he has to do that. All right. So this damn dog. Okay. So now I have to decide what the computers are going to look like. And ideally build it in a way that it's going to be done entirely in software. This is not going to be like a virtual machine or anything like that. It's just going to be within this prototype application. And then I'm going to integrate it within the game itself eventually, once I have designed it. So today it's the prototyping phase of it. I decided it's going to be 8 bits because that makes it very easy to work with. It doesn't take up too much memory. And it doesn't have that much functionality. But then again, it's a fake computer within a... Why is Twitch running ads every 10 minutes? What the hell is happening? What the hell is happening? Holy hell, Twitch is broken as hell today. What the fuck? Discord only allows me to stream at like 720p. Um, I'm just, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the first hour of the stream. What the hell is happening, bro? What do you mean you're running ads every 10 minutes? How do you, okay, yeah. The monetization settings are not within the tab called settings. They're within another different tab called monetization. Why do you have a tab called settings if it doesn't contain settings? Ads are automatically scheduled. 3 minutes of ads per hour. Wait, were they not automatically scheduled before? No, they were. Wait, why the fuck are you... What? It just changed my ad frequency to running 30-second ads every 10 minutes. Which is an insane setting, by the way. Why do you have that? But why did you change my settings? Alright, there we go. That is insane. Why would you do that? Why would you just change my streaming settings? Alright, just to recap. We're building an 8-bit operating system, virtual machine, virtual everything. Now here's the interesting part about that. I was thinking about it. It's gonna be for a hacking game, so you probably want to be somewhat programmable. But at the same time, the hacking game, you're not gonna be writing code and you're not gonna be using the terminal because that's just not fun. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's not what constitutes a game, in my opinion. So instead, Terry Davis would never have run ads. Oh, ad blockers are sent by our god Terry Davis. That's what you said, sorry. It's starting another ad. It ignored the settings. Twitch, I swear to God, I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter. What the hell is wrong with your website? Why is it running another ad? And the only option I have is to ignore it, to snooze it. Oh, this is so annoying. What the hell is wrong with this website? Well, how long is this ad gonna be? Because when it says ad starting soon, it doesn't actually start for like another 30 seconds. So I don't even know how long the ad is gonna be. Terry is just the right hand of God, an employee basically. A manager. 3-minute ad. 3-minute ad. You just ran... How long have I been streaming? Nearly 20 minutes. You ran 30-second ads already, twice. And now you're running a 3-minute ad. I better become rich from the stream, I swear to God. At least we don't have such issues on YouTube. Well, streaming to YouTube is absolute shit in other ways. Also, let's not pretend that YouTube doesn't break every other day. Just, yeah. Thanks for this, Twitch. It's really making sure that everyone who's watching is just, like, dropping off. Just in case, I'm gonna link y'all to my YouTube in case you want to watch from there, because if this continues, you're probably not gonna want to watch from Twitch. So, there it is. That one doesn't have ads. I usually do ad breaks for the 3-minute ads, but I don't know if it's gonna keep glitching today or if it's fixed. So just in case, there it is. YouTube is usually slower than Twitch, but today it might be more stable because I don't know what's happening. Anyway, another minute of ads. By the way, I was gonna do... Today I had plans to do some UI theming design stuff for Redacted OS. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow, because this thing that I want to work on today for the game is kind of like was blocking me. I couldn't do anything without figuring this out first. And I thought it would be an interesting thing to do on stream, so I'm gonna be doing it. And then, you know, just a little prototype. Then I'm gonna implement it, refine it, make it better off stream. But yeah, I thought I need to do this. It would be an interesting thing to stream, so streaming this today and going back to Redacted tomorrow. So essentially today I'm doing my off-topic stream that I usually do on Sundays or Monday. All right, 30 more seconds. We're almost there. We've almost made it. Thank you for that, Twitch. Thank you so much for that. I was actually planning on, like, if something interesting comes from this, posting this as a video on YouTube to post the entire process of just creating like a virtual machine entirely from scratch. But thank you for completely interrupting the flow, Twitch. That was really cool of you. Well, I can still do it. I just don't have an intro. I might just do an intro at the end of the video of the stream. And then like edit it and put it at the beginning of the stream. All right. To go back to what I was saying before the ad. So normally the way that computers, why am I drawing this when I can probably just Google it? Computers nowadays use the von Neumann, I hope that's how you pronounce it, computer architecture. That's the guy. Oh, this is what I wanted to show. In which essentially you have input, you have output, but then you have a CPU that talks to the memory unit. It's a very, it sounds incredibly simplistic now because all our computers are built like this. But there are competing architectures. There were competing architectures. For example, there's Harvard. I don't know why I've decided that Harvard is Hardvard. So at least I got a little suggestion here and I didn't have to like type it in because I would have misspelled it. But pretty much the main difference, at least as I remember it, is that Harvard separates the memory used for programs and the memory used for data. They're completely separate. Whereas in von Neumann architecture, they're together. I guess nowadays they're a little bit more separate in terms of the way that, in practical terms, because of things like memory protection, the MMU and all that. But they are technically on the same RAM. Are you planning to use any library for GUI? I have a library for GUI. So not really planning on using a third-party one. But I am using Raylib as a backend to work cross-platform. All right, by the way, if I had built the game for my operating system, it looks a lot better on there. Because there's issues with the fonts. The way that I do fonts and the way that Raylib does fonts is different. Technically, the way that they do it is the correct one, so I need to fix my code. But yeah, because of that, it all the fonts in the game looked kind of small. But it's just we're not doing the game today. We're doing something completely separate in the prototype project that I created. So I'm not too concerned about that right now. Whoops. Didn't mean to click it, but okay. Yeah, so this is the normal computer architecture that we're used to. This is another competing or like alternative computer architecture. When it comes to building this operating system, first off, the cool thing, well, this operating system, this machine, I'm building the entire thing. It's completely virtual and it's going to exist within a game. So I can just go crazy with it. I can just throw all of this out the window and just make my own thing, but I'm not going to do that. But I am thinking that something like this is maybe a little bit more practical for building this OS and this machine. because the program memory, essentially the functionality that the computers in the game are going to have, is going to not be programmable within the game itself. It's programmable when you're making the game, but not when you're playing the game. It's supposed to be exploitable, but not programmable necessarily. So the program memory would just be the game engine data, essentially. Yeah, most computers nowadays use a modified hardware architecture, one memory, separate data, and instructions paths separated logically. Instructions are data. Yeah, pretty much. So what I was saying, yeah, it's pretty much Harvard with MMUs and whatnot. But wait, von Neumann is the one that we use the most. We just kind of, I feel like we went full circle in a way. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't super paying attention in college and I dropped out. So correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like between the two, von Neumann won, but then eventually we ended up going full circle into Harvard with the MMU. That's the TLDR? Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. I remembered it. Essentially, yeah, we started with von Neumann. We were like, oh, Harvard, ew. And then we're like, actually, circle back to that one. All right. So kind of what I'm doing is, yeah, the program memory is gonna be handled by the engine itself. That way, I don't have to waste your actual system's memory storing instructions for a million times for a million computers. There's not gonna be a million computers, but like even if you have like 10 computers being simulated in the game, you only have to store data for them, and they're 8-bit computers, so you would have to store 256 cells of data, 8 bits each, and that's 2048. That's what 2 kilobytes. Think. It's Friday evening. Why am I doing math? So that's kind of the advantage of doing it like that. The disadvantage is that, of course, the computers won't be programmable. But then again, the hacking happens entirely within puzzles in the game. So I'm thinking that's not going to be a problem. Essentially, I saw that there's 2 different types of hacking game. There's hacking games, yes. There's games like... Why is Steam glitching today? What the hell's happening to it? There's games like... Where is it? Greyhack. Oh, Steam is lagging a lot. That was hard to get there. There's games like Greyhack, which I played on stream, but I'm just gonna show it here for a bit. I'm not gonna play, I'm just gonna open the store page. In which you are sitting on a computer, your physical computer, and then playing a game in which there's a simulated computer. In that simulated computer, you're going into a terminal, which is itself kind of an emulator. Probably not in this computer, but like on Linux and stuff. It's a terminal emulator if you want to get technical about it. And then all you're doing is typing commands in. That's one extreme of the types of games that there are for hacking. The other extreme is games like Watch Dogs, in which you play in an actual open world, you interact with people, there's a story and whatnot, but the hacks in that game are just a skill tree that you unlock with points, and then they just get activated with a simple button press. And it's different from any other Ubisoft game in the following ways. Thank you. So that's the opposite extreme. Let's maybe try to do something in the middle. Funnily enough, I found that GTA 5 has a couple of hacking minigames which go pretty... Why is it GTA 5 Legacy now? What happened? What is happening? I had never seen this before. I haven't played in a while. And Legacy is bigger than Enhanced? Alright. Clearly I haven't played in a while. But anyway, it has a couple hacking minigames that I found are abstract enough that you don't have to have any technical knowledge to play them. They're not particularly complicated either. But they're also kind of representative of the thing that you're doing. Whether you're like trying to find a password, whether you're hacking like physical hardware. I don't remember exactly what they are. You do them in the FIB raid in the final heist of the game, the Depository. I think that's what it's called. And a couple of them in online, which I haven't played. But yeah, I feel like, funnily enough, the good strike between realism and easy to play in terms of hacking game was achieved by Grand Theft Auto in like a couple minigames and nowhere else, at least as far as I've seen. So that's kind of what I'm going for. But of course, I want it to be realistic within its own set of rules, which I call consistent, not realistic. But of course, to do that, we have to define those rules. So we're going to create a very simple operating system. And again, today we're just doing a very basic prototype. Funnily enough, I hate the command line, and yet it's all going to run within the command line. And I've actually built an operating system, so I feel like I know what I'm talking about. This should be easy to do. I don't need any reference. I'm going to get it to run without any bugs, without any issues. On the first try, let's fucking go. All right. Okay, so 8 bits. We're also not going to simulate an entire CPU. I mean, kind of. Well, we'll see. Let's not get too deep into how it's going to be, because I've not done any research. I haven't done any of this. I specifically waited to do it on stream because I thought it would be interesting. String injection, buffer overflow. Yeah. I don't know. I need to come up with like mini games that represent those types of things. Or, you know, just simple exploits like those. Like the concepts of them. Like I did the brute forcing one with the... Actually, it used to be on this project, and then I wiped it. The good version of it, the one that actually looked good. So I cannot show it. But yeah, I showed it before. I'll need to come up with other similar minigame ideas eventually. But yes, that is the plan. All right. So a computer has input and output. Very simple. And then it does calculations. It usually does that through like an arithmetic logic unit. And most of the input and output is usually handled by peripherals. But what elements do I want my specific system to have? First off, I want to really simplify the way that peripherals work. Essentially, to put it very plainly, this is not going to make any sense, but just printf is a peripheral, essentially. It's all you need in order to print something to the console, that's a debug peripheral, really. It's not part of the system itself. But yeah, essentially, the peripherals are just going to be a way for the virtual computer to communicate with the rest of the game engine and actually do stuff. So they're just going to be calling functions. It's just going to be that simple. They're not going to require any initialization. They're not going to have any 6,000 page specs. So I'm very excited about that. I don't have to open a 6,000 page spec. Damn, this is so exciting. I don't have to read some standard defined in the 1960s, 70s, or 80s. It's all up for grabs. Damn, you can see the smile on my face over the fact I'm not having to do that. All right, and also I'm not gonna have to initialize any peripherals. So to boot a computer, what do you really need? I might as well put in a little hello world for it. Like, what was the name that I came up? It was the sudo redacted OS, or PROS. And then the hacking tools, they're probably going to use this acronym. I just have to figure out what that means. Basic input output system. He's a genius. He's a fucking genius. How'd you come up with that one? Pretty real operating system. That's another one. It's either the sudo, yeah, I spelled that right. Sudo redacted operating system, or the pretty real operating system. You pick which one. All right. Funnily enough, I kind of have to design the system around the exploits. Usually you design the exploits around the system. Now you're defining the system around the exploits. So, first thing, I already created a password brute force system. So I would have to create a password system, right? That's the first step. The boot process is literally just printing this. And then prompting the user for a password. Also, the code for it should probably be a little bit modular. Again, there's not going to be any actual code stored on the computer. It's just going to be within the game engine. But right now it's just going to be like in the main function, for that matter. So essentially the way that the system is going to work is do a password prompt. Wait, what the hell was that? I hate this thing in Z. And I fixed it on the other computer, but not on this one. And I'm just building a little computer system for my game. It's all very abstract. It's not even... You can't get it to run outside of this. Only I remembered where the hell I have to go for this. Comment... Extend comment on new line, disable that. Okay. So this is kind of gonna be like a module in the system. I'll have to figure out how to like make the engine do what I want to do, because it's an ECS engine. It's a much more efficient, but some things are more complicated. Adding modules is gonna be really easy. Making them talk to each other is going to be really difficult. So there's going to be just a password module that is going to printf enter pwd. And then it's going to prompt you for a password, which I do not have any functionality for, funnily enough, in my system. Which means I also don't have any functionality for it on cross-platform. Now this is entirely cross-platform. This technically doesn't need to run on my system. So wait, I actually kind of forgot how to do it. Was I unclear in what I googled? Scanf, right? Yeah. It's different in every language, so you have to be a little... Isn't it just scanf? I should have just googled that immediately. God, what a useless search engine. Thank you, AI. Love that you're doing this for us. Yes. Okay, so password system is just going to be requesting you to write a password, and then it's going to scanf, which is part of which library, by the way? stdio. It's I'm not sure if this is going to compile, because printf is technically my own function, but I'm not sure. Wait, actually you do it with, yeah, like, that's how you do it? Okay. Damn, I haven't written scanf in decades. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but... Okay. Did I do string? No, I did. Okay. Right, I would need to prompt for a char. Okay. Yeah, but this is... No. I need to compare it against an 8-bit value because of the whole thing that I built. And also because the entire system is going to be 8-bit. But, yeah, it's going to complain about me doing this. And you also should be able to type in a multiple bit value there. I'm not... Oh, hold on. I don't know what I'm doing here. First off, what's the password gonna be? Say that the password is value like 1, 2, 3. Right, then you have to input the password. String. Porting QEMU to redacted and writing on an 8-bit OS. Because I'm not doing an actual virtual machine. Alright, let's try a string. What the fuck is a string, bro? Well, I have that type, but I shouldn't be using it here. Does that... Okay, there we go. And then I should be able to string to, no, parse int64. That's a 64-bit value that's being created here. What's the size being used for exactly? Is that the... Oh, that's the maximum string length, right? Which is gonna be 3. Okay, and that returns an int64, which we then take and put into a pwd attempt 8-bit value, making sure to only keep 1 byte of its data. Alright, so it's not super 8-bit because we're using a 64-bit value here, but that's why it's a pseudo operating system. It's not real. It's also just a prototype. And also why the code is not actually part of the machine itself. Okay. This should probably be in a do while. until the two are the same. To limit 63 character? Well, I should do 3 characters, right? Is it 3 or 0.3? No, 3 is fine. Because I'm doing a byte value, an 8-bit value here. Probably the real one is gonna allow longer passwords by just chaining multiple 8 bits together. And then the minigame to hack it is just gonna be the same game 3 times, for example. And I can use actual characters for the password and whatnot, but we'll get to that. That's not important right now. I don't think it's supposed to be that. Well, let's see how this goes. Let's see how this goes. It's the cool thing about it is we can run it. Segmentation fault. Why did I type a word? Did I? No, still segmentation fault. You're supposed to give it a char, but I didn't initialize it, did I? No, that's still supposed to be like that, but... Okay, so it's not parsing it correctly, but now it works, and I shouldn't have closed the entire terminal. Want a better theme than Everforest? How much time do you spend looking at themes? Alright, let me print up. You wrote PW attempt S. I really hate this that compilers do. How if I don't immediately put in, like as I was writing it, hold on, let me actually redo it. As I'm writing it. Okay, it doesn't do it anymore, but like immediately it showed like a yellow underline here, like, whoa, you're missing an argument. Like, okay, give me time to finish. Come on. Not even giving me a chance to write the code properly. It was supposed to be Red Sea Cross. You wrote 1, 2, 3, and yet you don't fucking read. Oh yeah, probably needs the null termination. That's correct. Even though this is being limited, so I would love to know what the hell you're writing there. See, you see how it does it there? It immediately complains about stuff before I even have a time to finish writing the line. I interpreted 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. This keeps happening. This keeps happening. Login successful. Cool. Just like that, we built an entire boot sequence for this computer and an entire login system for this computer, and the entire time the computer doesn't even have memory or a CPU or anything because it's literally just a program. But yeah, it's gonna be that simple. Of course, making it configurable and like exploitable and modular is going to be the important part. But also this variable, probably not this. I don't care too much about this. But these variables, or this one at least, should be stored within the memory of the computer itself. That's, I kind of just want to build a very simple like flow of what the computer is going to work like and what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to bother with the rest of the things that it's going to do. Hardcode mode RMRF after 5 tries. So it's all going to be very virtual for the time being. Then we're going to make it a little bit more realistic, but not super. That's the plan. All right. What can you do in this operating system? Well, what interesting things can I make the computer do that I can then give the player an incentive to hack it for? Well, there's a couple of things. I think I wrote them down on my laptop when I was, before I decided to do this, I was brainstorming this and I wrote down a couple things. Here it is. All right. Networking is pretty important, especially like local networking, more so than full networking, because I'm interested in you being able to jump from one computer to another one in the network in order to be able to do hacks. That's again, this computer is being built around the exploits, not the exploits around the computer. Yes, the nice stream. It does the cross library. It works for both. This is running on x86 right now. It works on both. Struggles a little bit in Mac. It freezes, and also it doesn't fully compile on Windows. Somebody in my Discord left some improvements to make it compile. We'll look into that tomorrow. And the UI stuff that I was gonna do today, tomorrow as well. Okay, so there's networking, some basic messaging between devices seems like an interesting thing to have. You know, for the NPCs and phishing emails and whatnot. I'm just gonna call it messaging. I'm not gonna call it email or text. It's just gonna be one messaging protocol instead of the millions that we have in the real world. God save us. That's the cool thing about something being simplified and virtual. You don't have to make it as complicated as the real world. File-based, that's right. Unix, you win again. You motherfuckers. You've done it again. Yeah, they had one good idea. No kidding, Unix had a lot of good ideas. Plan 9 had a lot of even better ideas. And no good ideas have been had since. Except for me, I have the best ideas. Obviously. Alright, then I was thinking like, what interesting data could be on, or what reasons do you have to hack? There's banking. You know, you want money. There's sabotage. You wanna, you know, prevent someone else from using the computer network. Or the computer, or whatever. Activism as well, just sending a message, essentially. It's kind of a form of sabotage, I guess. I'm not sure. What other things can you do? Or like, what other reasons could you have in to hack? To get information. Is one, but I'm not sure how this translates to, well, I don't know how this one translates to a video game, but same for this one. Sabotage is pretty easy. You just make the computer unusable. How does it compile for cross? Cross needs to have a libc. It uses syscalls and then it's no, it uses libc, yeah, internally. It just replaces the calls to my syscall implementation with the ones that libc has. So my library becomes just a header for libc. Now it's mostly compatible with libc, at least for the functions that I have. It's not complete, but it's compatible. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it like this for now. That's the problem. I should have continued doing this research, even though I decided to leave it for now, but there is another aspect here that I want to write. I just don't know how to word it. Like doing real life things, like if the system controls, well, let's just call it like peripheral hardware control. You know, if a computer is attached to a physical or a different hardware system, that you can control that hardware system, like, I don't know, shut down an alarm through the computer. That is another thing that you might want to do in a hacking game. All right. I don't do CPP anymore. Well, I have some code in it, but I don't do it anymore. Not really. All right. The mainframe. Oh, there's gotta be a mainframe. Even if it doesn't actually do anything, it just has to be there. The mainframe, mind you. Thank you. I was gonna make the worst fucking hacking game without the mainframe. Where's my fucking sunglasses? I don't have them with me, damn it. Alright, I'm gonna have to get my sunglasses during the ad break, but it's gonna wait. Alright. So I disabled chat for this stream. It'll be back tomorrow. Okay. So all of these are different modules of the system. So probably I just need to consider how they would work. I don't know what the mainframe is gonna have or what it's gonna have. It's just gonna be a little Easter egg, but I think it's gonna have to be a thing. And I think it's just necessary. By the way, I still haven't been able to watch Hackers. I feel like months ago we talked about me watching that movie. And it was on Amazon Prime, but it's a fucking rental. So you pay for Netflix, HBO, Hulu, Disney, Zulu, Bulu, Disney, Redflix, all that shit, and then you still have to fucking rent movies that they own the rights to. Not that one. Not that one. Paying a subscription is still required to rent movies on top of it, right? There's like 5 entertainment companies in total. Well, there's 6, but it's about to become 5. And then they have like 20 different streaming services with content that they own. And they still charge you to watch the damn content. Anyway, I've been playing Sea of Thieves lately. With ads. With ads. Just a little tidbit. I've been playing Sea of Thieves lately. That is not a confession to a crime. by the way, which is, you know, a get out of jail free card. You can say whatever you want, that you just say that's not a confession to a crime. I'm also not pirating anything, just to be clear. I'm literally playing Sea of Thieves lately. AI product placement. Oh my god, that's gonna be a thing. Well, anywho. Most likely I'm gonna want to build this system in somewhat the same way that I've built mine. And honestly, I'm very glad that I'm separating the code of the system from the data of the system, because 256 registers for data is not enough for all this stuff. But separating it, bam. Infinite money glitch right there. Infinite RAM glitch right there. Okay. The way that it's built in my system, all of these would be a different module. They can talk to each other. And, well, there wouldn't be a sabotage module. That would be easy. All right. I'm in. Hold on. CD into sabotage. Run. So easy. Alright, so there wouldn't be a sabotage module, but for the sake of there wouldn't also be an information module. But, yeah, for the sake of it, I can just make a system that is based around files entirely. And then the way that it works is all of these different modules, which are essentially just components in ECS, and a minigame to hack them, and simple code like this one to drive them. Alright, so networking is quite a complicated task, and I have a little prototype of how I want a network system to work in a game, but I barely remember what it was like. Messaging is also very network based, so we're gonna ignore it. Let's say that I want to do a banking module, right? Which is gonna be again, just an ECS component that is attached to the computer. It's that simple. Well, there would also be a maybe it is good that I start building the actual structure of the computer instead of just doing this. A user to the computer, which is a module. And that module is going to have a name for the user and a password for the user. Or maybe not even a name, just an identifier. I wonder if I should make it 16-bit and then use this identifier as like the entity ID inside the game. But okay, never mind. I'm thinking about what it's gonna be like in the game engine, which I shouldn't do because we're not in a game engine. We're literally just doing this in a virtual computer. So we don't care too much about it. For that matter, there might not be even a definition of a bit of 8 bits or anything like that. I don't have to limit it like that. I can just make the game engine itself the computer. All right, so the bank simply tells you how much money the user has, right? With a maximum of 256 red bucks. And what else? What other information can there be? Well, the mainframe, of course. What's going to be in the mainframe? I haven't decided yet. And then let's say we have like an alarm, which can have like a code and a boolean to activate it. And what do you even do in a computer that's worth doing? There's money, passwords, and networking stuff. What else is useful in a computer? Well, the information one was like records. If you kind of want to yeah, like some kind of database type of thing. So that can be the information. So let's just for a little demo, let's do a academic record. Just a single entry for math. And the main frame is going to have just a redacted value because I haven't decided what it is yet. All right, so these are the modules for the computer. We have the name and password module. We have the we have a money module. We have a money. We have the mainframe. We have a some sort of database and an alarm. It's cool to not have to bother with the actual implementation. Why is my cursor here when I'm selecting here? Don't know what this is doing. Okay. So I have all of these different modules, and I can even make like a very simple. Are these all uint 8s? Yes, they are. Can even do a very simple like I know how to spell anyway. Computer memory. It's gonna look like this. And then put these in there. So essentially, instead of the password being this, it is now going to be taken from the memory itself. But I need a way to know where each of the modules are in memory. And well, I guess more than modules, I can call them registers, maybe. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I essentially just want to create a register name that I can just say that go to the memories user name, and that's always going to point to the same place. User password, that's always going to point to the same place. I know that I believe GCC has counter. I'm not sure how to use it. I just know it exists. Macro expands to sequential integer values starting from 0. In conjunction with the double hash operator, this provides a convenience means to generate unique identifiers. Care must be taken to ensure that counter is not expanded prior to inclusion of precompiled headers. Okay. So if I do counter, then user name can be register 0, so the first part of memory. User password can be the second one. The money in the bank can be the third one. The mainframe can be the fourth one, and so on. But I don't think I need to use a define there. Then I can just do is it the other way around? What is your damn problem? Previous type def declaration specifier. Oh, wait, because register is already a word. Okay, so reg. Okay, so we have a username. And I can give it a value like this. I probably shouldn't have deleted those. They were my reference for creating this stuff. So, okay, username and password are easy. Reg, username. And PWD. Money. The redacted register for the... Well, I can just call it a mainframe register now. Can even do math scores. That's not really how you would do this. Just one math score, I guess. They're supposed to point here. That's kind of dumb. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. So I just created a bunch of registers that I'm not sure I want to keep it the way that it is, but yeah. I don't want to keep it the way that it is. I already know that I don't like it. But yeah, I can just access a specific register for the password, and that gives me the that stores the contents of yeah, the contents of the password, and I can use it to compare in order to do the login thing. But this is absolutely atrocious. Also, a username doesn't even have a name, so no, this is not okay. Yeah, let me see. If I set up the computer like this, like user default. I'm doing it manually and then I'll figure out how to automate it. Then in memory 3, you would put the password. In memory 4, you would put the amount of money that the person has, which is 100. And so on. If I run this right now, funnily enough, the password is actually going to be E, which is 101. Let me try it. Yeah. Okay, but that's not supposed to be like that. It's also supposed to be null terminated. So yeah, maybe having memory at all is kind of a dumb idea. And using just structs directly would be a smarter idea. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. I'm torn between building a more realistic type of computer or a more abstract type of computer. So I have to figure that out. All right. There's an ad starting, only one this time instead of the 50 that ran in the first 10 minutes of the stream. So I'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, we're back. And I am no closer to figuring out what the hell I'm doing. All right, so if I have an 8-bit operating system and I want to simplify the type of data that it has, or kind of standardize the type of data that it contains, then it would be ideal to have some sort of automation for that. But for the time being, I'm just going to create a simple load data function that does what I just did here manually. It's going to do it. It's going to load it into the memory of the computer. And then put that data in here. Right, so without these counters, I'm not going to end up using these. They're kind of useless. All right. So, what I do want to have is these, their names. All right, so I can keep track of where each of them is. I just have pointers to the data. All right, so the very first area of memory is going to contain the username of this person, which is really as simple as taking a char, giving them a name, and then username is 0 and memory 0. This is a pointer, which I can then just do a memcpy into. Or not. Not if I don't import. Now, it's std/memory.h. That contains the definition of memcpy. All right, and this value actually just so happens to be the pointer to the password. The password, which I can then make a string as well instead of an integer like I did before. Then I can do a similar thing like what I just did. Memory pwd, put the password in there. For strlen of p passwd +1. Wait, no, why am I copying +1? The length here it's +1 here. Okay, so there's the string and the length of the string. The length of the string, which I can then use to copy the string over and to get a pointer to the next area of memory. Which maybe I should just keep a pointer separate. And create a store instruction. Hold on. All right, now we're starting to create an actual computer. We have a pointer that we're going to right now. And we want to store a uint pointer and a size, which is then going to perform a memcpy into memory pointer from, oh wait, why not this one, from data of size, and then maybe increase the pointer by the size. No, by the size I said. All right. So I can even make it return the pointer. No, should return the previous pointer. That. Okay, so then I can simplify what I just did by a lot by just doing store username equal to store default. I can even create maybe a little like utility function. Store string that just takes a char pointer string and does return store str strlen str. Wait, what was the warning? Hold on, I don't want to make any. Passing char pointer to parameter of uint8 pointer converts between pointers to integers types where one is the unique plain char and the other one is not. If you're passing a string with negative pointers, we have bigger problems here, but I'll just cast it. There. Okay. Okay, I'm starting to like the way that this looks now. We have a store instruction, we have 256 bits of memory, no, bytes of memory, and we have registers that we want to write to. So we store the username, we store the password, store string, hey. We can do a simple store int. Or store num, maybe. Which returns store pointer to the num 1. Okay, so money becomes store num 100. Mainframe becomes store num 42. Your math score? Let's use mine. We did settle on Z 100%. Alarm activate is by default a 0. And alarm code is 3, 4. Okay. So now there's actual data in the computer, except I'm not calling that function, so no, there isn't. Hold on. Now there's actual data in the computer. And if I try to run this, my password, which was 101 before, it's no longer 101. My password is now actually the value of this character here. 104. But it's not developed by MS, so I can't really hate. Fair. It has a little login and AI stuff, but you can disable them. It's dumb that they're enabled by default, but you can disable them, so that's cool. Okay. Instead of doing this now, I can do a different type of test here. You can enter the password. I'm expecting still a 3-digit value. And then I can check if the pwd attempt s object at index I is the same as the as the memory pwd plus I. If so, that's going to return true. This value is going to stay true. And, well, instead of doing this, I just do this. What's going to happen now? So I type in a wrong password like TEY, and it's wrong. But I type in the right password, and it's wrong. Great. First off, we're supposed to check 4 values. But we only take in 3. The last one is supposed to be a 0. Oh, wait. I'm actually kind of forgetting to do the 0 thing. Yeah, so when you store a string, you kind of want to do that. Then you want to increase the pointer, and then you want to return the pointer. No, you want to return this. Right, like that. So that should automatically null terminate my strings. Which now works. Or maybe... Yes, it works. Or not. Clearly not. It worked the first time. What happened then? Alright, so it works the first time I do it, and then it doesn't work anymore. But I'm liking the way that this mini computer works, even though the actual implementation of it is probably not going to have memory at all. but it's gonna live with us in spirit. And I might as well keep this little 8-bit computer implementation of it. Okay. Let's just put some printfs in here. Okay, that's about right. I feel like that... Oh, wait. Oh, the problem is that I'm not resetting this value to true at the beginning. Login successful. Okay. Cool. The target of the new OS is just... It's for a game, but really it's just a prototype in it. So... nothing particularly important. Okay. I'm mostly just doing it for fun and just to like prototype how the system is gonna work. It should have functionality to list out which directories exist within the system, right? Which are user, bank, mainframe, these essentially. So maybe at register 0, I'm actually gonna put in a version value, perhaps? That indicates the version of the system? Or I can just do this. I just kind of want all these pointers to not be 0. So I can create a file system by just enumerating these values. Not sure what I'm doing though. Again, let me type it out manually and then figure out a way to write it properly. If there's a username, then we printf/user, which is a directory. We do the same thing for money, which prints out. We do the same thing for mainframe, which prints out that. Database. Okay, so if these values have been set, then it is going to list the directories. I'm probably not going to make a recursive system because that would multiply the complexity of this by 1,000,000. So instead, you just list the directories once you have logged into the system. So I type in something random, nothing happens, but then I just go in there and user, bank, mainframe, database, and alarm. So bank, mainframe, database, and alarm. Okay, cool. What if I just don't assign this one? And I log in, that one doesn't make it into the system. Okay. You know what? Actually, I was saying maybe the system won't have any memory whatsoever. Um, but like having these 256 bytes of memory and then being able to assign values to these registers and just check if they have a proper value allows me to easily know if a system exists or not, which is not going to make any difference in the game engine. Never mind. Again, I'm thinking about how the game engine is going to be structured, which is dumb. But okay, there's all of these values, right? And there can even be a network register. Which will be available if your system is connected to the network, to a network. All right, if I find a way to automate this, I can also automate the next part, which is actually talking to these files and doing stuff with them. Which I feel like is pretty important in order to work with a system. Well, it's a bit of a dumb idea. Oh, this is very much a dumb idea. But I can do this. It's a dumb idea because it literally doubles the amount of memory that the system uses. But then again, I said we're not going von Neumann or we're not going Harvard. We're going with an entirely new and really stupid architecture. And files, alarm, activate. I forgot like half the semicolons. Cool. So now I can just hold a list of all of these. There's probably a way to minimize the amount of memory that this uses because it's kind of dumb, but whatever. Oh, wait. The brackets go here. Okay. So I can easily just do, another thing that I can do, by the way, is just get rid of this. There's a way to count the number of elements. I believe it's size of all registers divided by the size of reg. You don't like that, do you? Oh, just a parentheses. You still don't like that, do you? Oh, wait, this is an assignment. No. Okay, that's the problem. Cast this to a char pointer. Cast to char from smaller integer type uint8. That sounds ridiculous. Fuck off. Never mind, maybe don't fuck off. You were right about that. Oh wait, it's the address. That's why it was a problem. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it fails like crazy. You're not supposed to point to the... Supposed to point to the files. No, that's how you do it. Alright, there it is. So it's horribly unoptimized and kind of very dumb. But... I'm essentially just storing information dynamically, which is also kind of dumb, into the system, and then using that information to list the directories that exist within the system. And then, if I wanted to, I could allow you to read and write files, which seems like the easiest way to interact with the system. Yeah, it feels like the easiest way to interact with the system to just do that. So either get file, which would return a value, or put file value, where you can write a value. Now, the issue that I have with this is that the size of this, or yeah, the places where this and this and this are pointing changes depending on the contents of the operating system. And if I let you modify that, then it gets all out of whack. Although that's kind of interesting, because that is a buffer overflow right there. Like, if you want to override the password, you can set the username to something longer than it should be. Like, you can set it to default A, B, C, D, E, F, and then it would be set to B, C, D, E. No, wait, this is the password. This is what you will be overriding. So if you set it to default A, B, C, D, it sets it to B, C, D. And you can change the password like that. I guess. I'm not entirely convinced by any of this, to be honest. But I like the way that I like the overall design of it. I just don't like the implementation of it. But yeah, you know what? Let me try it. To make my life easier, I'm just going to print out the value of the register in which a file is contained. So now user is at 1, bank is at 13, mainframe is at 14, database is at 15, and alarm is at 16. And I can do set user 1. Actually, I like that. Yeah. I can do set user 1, and that will override the value of user. All right, so let me create a get command. Right, so you're in the system, right? You want to do a scanf into a char pointer It's okay to just do it like this, right? This is how I'm doing it. Here. Yeah. Let's see, I let you write like 32 characters at maximum. And you write them into val. Wait, what? How was I doing this in the other place? Oh, it's just a... Wait, yeah, okay, I just need to get rid of this. Then I can do a simple string start command between val and exit. And if that's equal to 4, which is the amount of characters, I hate this comparison to be honest, but because it requires you to know the size of the string that you're comparing against in order to know if you did it or not. But I couldn't find a better way to do it. Yeah, we have an exit command, a get command, in which point we are just going to printf get command activated, and the put command and just some else for security. Elses. I forgot the actual message. It is now safe to turn off your computer. Nobody asked you. It's now safe to turn off your computer, yes. It's now safe to turn off your computer. Which is going to print when the system turns off. All right, so I enter my password and I'm logged in. I can then type in a command, which can be something like get, which does nothing. Let me put some extra prints here. Oh wait, I'm not using a terminal. Okay, here it is. Enter password. There's my password. Why does it say it 3 times? Wait, what? What just happened? Input command, get, command not recognized. Well, can you tell me what it is, please? Oh. Get command activated. Put command activated. And exit. It is now safe to turn off your computer. Okay, cool. Well, that was easy. I know that when I implemented this, or when I was looking into implementing this in my system, I was kind of complaining about it and I didn't want to do it, but I'm no longer in my system and this app is not supposed to run in my system. So, right, I need to limit the number of characters. Is there an orange? No, not quite. Or I can do yellow maybe, just for the sake of simplicity. Wait, will this print actually if I just put it here? Yeah. Nah, I don't like the yellow. It's supposed to be orange. This format is so annoying. It's so ugly. Even now I don't want to implement it. Okay, but ANSI color codes. Maybe I want to use like a 166. So I just need to change that, right? It's that simple. Please. This command is just so long that I could crash. Actually, yeah, what happens if you write a really long command? First off, what happens if you type a really long password? Wait. Okay. The command injection is crazy. Already, right off the bat. Okay, exit. Boom. Just in the input password, it already fucking breaks. Well, this is what happens when you design a system around vulnerabilities instead of around a system. So that's that was easy. We already have our first exploit for the system. I haven't even finished building it. I only figured out how I wanted to build it like 5 minutes ago. It all clicked together. This part doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be completely. This part doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be completely honest. We'll have to look into that a little bit more. But I guess that's part of the virtual architecture of it. Same as the scanf or the chart 32. That's like a quarter of the memory, an eighth of the memory just to scan a command. This should be, oh yeah, the buffer is 32. No, so I want you to have 32, so I should give you an extra one. But yeah, we already saw it. If you overflow the first buffer, it just goes straight into the second one, which is crazy. But what happens when you overflow the other one? This command is actually so fucking long. What the fuck, bro? It just recognizes it as different commands. That's interesting. Well, what happens if you don't do this then? I'm assuming then it's gonna crash. Please crash. I need you to crash. What the fuck? This is not supposed to be this stable. I wanted you to crash. Was that not enough? It's freezing a lot. It just sends it to different commands, yeah. Even without the 32 thing. Okay, so scanf is just particularly resilient because it wasn't built by me, pretty much. Because it was built, it's part of libc. Also, space is stop for scanf. Oh yeah, it is. Shit, well that's gonna be a problem. I was kind of relying on it. There's another version of it, right? Fgets? I thought it would be like scan line. Fget s. That's file. Oh, why do I feel like Unix is doing some crazy shit here just to be able to read a string? No, 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 no. Fget s string. What's FP? std in. I can just put that in. This is gonna have to limit it. And this is going to have the value, right? So the password is, hey, you're immediately complaining about something. Get command activated. Get command activated still. Okay. What happens if I overflow it? I don't know why it's lagging so much. It still splits it. Good enough for me. Alright, I kind of wanted you to, I mean, you could exploit that. I'm just saying, you could exploit that if you wanted to. Yeah, maybe I keep that just for reference. Whatever the hell we're referencing here. All right. So the get cmd is going to be the, let's see, printf get command arguments cmd. Print that for me, please. Why is that blue? Oh, I see. It's been highlighted. Okay. File plus 4. So I enter my password. It immediately complains about a command not recognized. I'm not sure what the fuck you're going on about here, but okay. And then get hello 29. Hello 29. Yes, perfect. Do you think it's possible to make an OS and a small text-based browser for 3 CPU? I mean, I guess. Has limited memory. Would the TCP IP stack fit inside? When's TCP from? I'm gonna say yes. Just TCP, I guess. Or no, wait, there it was. I feel like you could if you really optimize it. But the cup is from 74. So definitely. Definitely 100%. I'm kind of talking out my ass here, but I think so. I think you can. Okay. Right, so I want to get a command argument. Like, forget, I only want to parse one. So parse int 64 again. Just a little bit of a technicality there. And we want to get the value of the register by doing memory R. Right? So I enter my password. It tells me that user is at register 1. So I can do get 1, and that will tell me 100. Get 2, that's 101. Get 3, that's 102. That's not right. Wait. It is right. Okay. I thought, wow, these values are sequential. Something's wrong here. But the username is default. DEF are sequential. So 100, 101, 102. Okay, so I can keep doing that, right? Get 4. Get 5. Get 6. Get 7. 8 is 0, which means that's where the username ends, and I can decode the username if I so wish. But then I can get the password by doing this until I get the password from this. If I even do this, memory R How do I know if a character is printable? Does my system have a simple utility for that? I feel like it does. I feel like here... No, not quite. Well, let's set it. C is, okay, the value of A is 97 and capital A is 65, so it comes first. Thank you. C is bigger or equal to 65. I really like that Z does this, by the way. And C is smaller or equal to Z. And this is supposed to be capital A. Pretty sure you know what a boolean is, buddy. Or don't you import types.h? You don't. Okay, now you know what a boolean is, right? Cool. Anyway, back to the game. Well, to the system. Is... Wait, I need to import that header. Then go back to what I was doing. Is printable. Did I call it that? Or just printable, maybe? Printable. I can even work backwards from get 12. It's a non-printable character. Get 11. Get 10. Get 9. Get 8. And there I have the password in reverse order. I prefer Z over Kate. I do, yeah. Kate was cool, but it had a couple of very big issues. I lost this. I forgot about to fix this. My god. An entire utility just to do this. My god. Hmm, 48. Alright, you know what? I'm just copying this thing. Wait, no, not the whole thing. This language is so complicated. Well, why do I have to read an entire manual to paint a color? Alright, I feel like... Shit, this should be enough, right? Without the end part there. Is this? Nope. Also, it painted what? How did this happen? Oh, because I didn't terminate it. God, I hate this so much. It's all the clunkiness of 1980s software with that's it. That's all it has, really. I want to do foreground is 33, right? Whereas background is, I thought it was 38. Come on, man, this cannot possibly be this complicated. Okay, this is foreground, where I change N with this, right? It should be that easy. Just put a damn color on the terminal. Thank you, Jesus. All right, there is an ad coming up, so I'll be back in 3 minutes. And I'll implement the put function, which is when it gets real exploity up in here. So I'll be back in 3 minutes. Hello, we're back. The meme is ironically from Twitter. One of the most brain dead places. And yet, there's still about 10 brain cells on there. Total. 10 brain cells. And 5 of them were put together to make that meme. Two of them. Let's not give them too much. Okay. We have... I need to stop hitting this table for no goddamn reason. I keep doing that. For emphasis. We have officially built a very stupid, very basic, and very loose definition. Why won't this close? Go away! What the hell? Of an 8-bit computer. Which relies on 8-bit memory, and also on these external registers, and also on, well, pointers, and also on this char array of 256 entries. I can probably do that one better. That one's on me. But yeah, it's currently a thing. Technically, it's a global array. Different instances of the computer hold the same one. Nope. The fuck they don't. No, they don't. Never mind. It's not even global. Never mind. Yeah. Okay, so it's not the most realistic 8-bit computer, but it's an 8-bit computer. You found an AI generated version of that meme? I need to see that. Okay. So there's the get command. And of course, there can also be the put command, which works in a similar manner, but it is not the same. Put cmd with val +4, because it will also have the same thing to get the register that it's going to be writing to. But of course, it also needs to write the value that you pass to it. Actually, before I implement that one, there is another thing that I can do in order to implement this one a little bit better. And it's that, yeah, you get whatever value it tells you, like you get value 1, and it prints a specific register. But it would also be ideal if you can print how many registers you want to read from that location. So you do some very basic like buffer operations with that. And in order to do that, all I have to do is just get a length. The problem is you don't get a length from the same place that you get the register. You get it after you get the register, and this doesn't tell you how many characters it read. But I do have the seek to, which should be capable of doing that. and it advances to the next space, which, if you format your input correctly, should be the length of the buffer that you're trying to read. And if not, if you don't format it correctly, well, if you find an exploit, good for you. That's the entire point of this. Reading from register, tell me the number. Oh, sorry, it has to be an LI. Plus LI. R and L. Thank you. I don't want to implement it until I know that I did it correctly. One plus 10. Perfect. Okay. Big giveaway for me that is probably A is one of the hints. Tends to be. There's a lot of ways to tell that something is AI. Alright. So I'm literally just gonna R. I is smaller than R plus L. I am gonna limit it to 256 because I don't want you to overflow the actual buffer. I'm okay with you overflowing within the computer, but not outside of it. Are we happy now? Yeah, we're happy now. Well, actually, pretty much this exact same thing. The difference is that instead of being R, it's now R plus I. Wait, no. It's just I, actually. Just I. And I needs to also be a UN6040. You can send the link on Discord. I don't think you can send it in chat. You could on Twitch, but not on YouTube. Can I just change the format a little bit? This is kind of ugly. And there you go. I can immediately just get the password, the username and the password if I try a little bit harder anyway. There you go. There it is. Oh, wait. I don't have a Discord open on here, do I? Discord updater. Seriously? For such a shitty web-based application, it should get a lot of updates. I haven't been on Facebook in 10 years. Yeah, this is AI generated as crazy. Damn. Also, is this what Facebook is like nowadays? Just this giant banner telling you to log in? It's less bad than I expected it to be, but it's still pretty bad. Ironic. To do this with AI is actually super ironic. It won't let me see anything past that point. It's like, okay, now you need to... Wait, I didn't even look at the hand itself. I just looked at the way that the brain was being held. That was enough. Cause that makes no sense. Oh, wait. Because this thing is here. It's actually blocking part of the screen, isn't it? Does even this not work anymore? Damn. Even the inspector. Oh yeah, that's just missing a thumb. Cool. Well, no thanks. I use AI. I don't have thumbs. What do I need them for when the AI can do everything for me? Anyway, Buffer Overflow OS has officially been created. Okay, and now pretty much this same logic that I just did in here, I can do in here. Writing to register. There's a whole lot of parsing involved in this, actually. I just realized. AI can help with learning, but it should never replace the thinking part. Yeah, people just use it as a replacement for learning, though. Anyway. Yeah, writing to a reading from a register is already kind of not iffy, but not super simple. But writing to a register is an entirely different beast. Because what do you write? A string? A number? It should be a number. It should be a number. This actually shouldn't do what I just did here. The reading multiple values. It should instead just write a specific number to a specific by the by. Specific number to a specific register. If you want to write to more, then you just do it manually one by one. And also the only good way to get good at writing C is to write C. To just do random shit. Like a poorly built 8-bit operating system for a poorly built fake ass computer system. The videos that the Google AI overview recommends are such terrible recommendations. Google AI overview. Oh, for Googling. Okay, I immediately went to YouTube. I wasn't sure what you were talking about. YouTube has a recommendation algorithm that's pretty good. Most recommendation algorithms are pretty good, I would say. They're also based off of the same technology. It's just that when they built it, they weren't brain dead yet. They've genuinely just replaced thinking with AI in big tech. So far as they were using it for recommendation engines, for automatic moderation, and just that, it was mostly okay. Then they were just like, what if we replace any little last smidge of common sense with AI? How about we just do that? And yeah, whoever said that got a massive bonus. And it's all been downhill from there. Yeah, it's the Google search. Yeah, it's just when you said Google, I immediately went to YouTube. Okay, yeah, so I feel like just write to a register in memory. Just... I'm actually gonna prevent you from overflowing the thingy. Wait, except you literally cannot do that. Watch you do it immediately. Okay. Right, I'm not actually in a terminal. Okay, so if I want to do get 115, I can read 15 values starting at 1, which I've been told is /user. And I can read the username blank password, HEY. And then if I want to modify the password, I can make your password boo, because you allow the stupidest buffer overflows in your system and you should be booed for that. I just do put 9 98, put 10, what's the value for O? 111. Put 11, 111. And now I can do get 115 and the password has been changed to boo on your system. Fuck you. So that's it. You just get and put data in the system. That's it. That's the entire operating system. It's a bit dumb. Probably need to standardize it a little bit. But as a foundation, I feel like it's okay. Makes it interesting to exploit. Then again, using commands. Then I need to build actual, like, I want to have that message there at the end. If I want to do this in like a minigame type of way, I'm gonna have to figure all that out, but that's a story for another time. All right. So essentially I just implemented a very basic input-output system with absolutely zero checks on your input or output. And you can also put devices on that, like my fake modules of the system. And once I do it in the game engine, which I know I said I wasn't going to talk about how it's going to be to implement this in a game engine, but once I put this in the game engine, then it's going to be possible to directly alter the values of these components in the ECS system by working with the system directly. I just kind of want to do it in a visual manner instead of a terminal manner. So how do you visualize files? How do you make files visual? The answer. I don't think I can show it. Not a whole lot of it, and definitely muted. Thank you for autoplaying that. The answer is that. That is how you do visual files. Yeah, Jurassic Park was really ahead of its time. We're only now starting to consider implementing visual file systems in that manner. Clearly, 3D interfaces were the superior form of interacting with a computer. We just didn't know it yet. The dinosaurs did, but they went extinct before they could pass that information on to us, which is why only Jurassic Park knows that information. Well, it's finally time. Well, no, not today. But the general time has finally come for 3D user interfaces and gamified user interfaces for a computer. It was dinosaurs. It was dinosaurs. I choose to believe. All right. So PROS is officially implemented. It does nothing, but in a way, it kind of just allows me to like it acts as a foundation for how I would want to make a simulated operating system in my game that isn't an actual fully full, oh my god, I cannot speak. Isn't an actually fully functional, fully emulated operating system, because that would be cool, I have to admit. It would be nice to have a it would be nice to have programmable computers in a game. Um, but it would also be way too much of an effort to do what I did, but properly and without using what amounts to a bunch of shortcuts. Considering, for example, like this takes up like half of the system's memory just to print this message. Takes up like half of the system's memory. The fact that if you have any devices, they're not actually mapped to memory. Well, their functionality is not mapped to memory. They're yeah, we're taking a lot of shortcuts essentially, and because we're taking a lot of shortcuts, it's easy to implement it like this. If you implement it properly, especially 8-bit, it's going to be a lot more complicated to fit everything in there, but it would be really cool, I have to admit. More so, I created an 8-bit interface to communicate with a virtual environment. Go. Okay, yeah. Now, to implement something like this in my actual game, now I actually can talk about that. I have no idea what I want to do. Most likely, it's not going to be an 8-bit computer. It's not going to be an actual implementation of a computer. It is just going to be an abstract module-based, component-based implementation of a system within ECS and simple manners that you can interact with it. Maybe using something like this as a computer interface then within that. Yeah, maybe I can do something like that. All right, I have no idea how I'm gonna actually implement it in the game, if I'm completely honest with you. I have general directions in which I want to go with that, but no idea how I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna stream game development this week again, because today was my off-topic stream, and I have plenty of other things to stream tomorrow, Monday, Sunday, and Monday. I have a lot of work to do in Redacted OS. So maybe next time I stream game development, I'm already gonna have functional computers in the game or whatever. We'll see. We'll see. But probably the most important part of how I want the computers to work is essentially this structure here. Just load data first, password. Listing directories should be a command by itself, actually. Yeah, let me just do that real quick. Command not recognized list. What? Oh wait, I forgot to put an else here. Okay. Actually, yeah, I feel like I know how I'm gonna implement it. I may not actually implement an actual like computer. More so, I'm just gonna implement a memory buffer, just the memory itself, in which you write the results of these commands. So this one would work kind of the same way. This one would work kind of the same way. This, for example, would print its results to that memory. And then it's not really a computer. The computer is just the actual engine, the actual game itself. It just acts as an interface to communicate with it in a way. So it gives you commands to list, to write, to read, but all of that is like sent to the engine. Yeah, I feel like that kind of gives me an idea of what I want to do. Again, we'll know once the game is actually implemented. Maybe, yeah, maybe it's not going to be an 8-bit computer. It's just going to be an 8-bit terminal, actually, where the computer itself is the actual entity component system of the game engine and the code of the game engine itself. 16 bits would already increase the amount of memory that a computer like this would require. But yeah, I like it. Okay, yeah. Computers are not computers, they're terminals. I feel like that's probably nothing, but it might be something. I don't know. I guess we'll know next time well, when I have some time to implement this stuff. But this overall structure of how I want to build it, I feel like is pretty cool. And yeah, that kind of works for me. All right. So before I end the stream, what am I going to work on tomorrow? Back to Reducted OS business. UEFI or legacy? ARM. Well, this just terminal. And the actual operating system is ARM, so none of that. Yeah, okay. What am I gonna work on? First off, a while ago in the system, I created themes, so you can... I just show it. You can, inside of a file, create a theme for your operating system. And so, for example, I made mine blue. It was a darker blue before. But applications like the terminal use some very basic, very boring colors. And any third-party application or any other application ever, the only one I have installed right now is just a picture, so that's not super helpful. But like this white color, for example, is determined by the application itself. So I want to expose the information that the theme, the system is loading for itself, to also expose it to userland applications. And then if developers want to make a third-party application that adapts to the user's theme, color scheme, and other information that I eventually make available through the whole theme system, they're going to be able to. And the terminal as well. I should probably give the user also an option to disable that if they want just a default non-customized experience for their apps, but they want to customize their system. I don't know. All of that I'm going to determine tomorrow. Another thing is that finally, I've solved enough of the system's memory issues that I can bring this back. This is not pre-recorded. Actually, I forgot to respond to your comment. You said that Terry Davis's birthday is in 3 days. December 15th? Damn, I was born 17th. Interesting. I didn't know we almost shared a birthday. The parallels are uncanny. I also almost share a birthday with like 1 million people. Actually, I probably share a birthday with like 1 million people, but I meant like 1 million well-known people. Like, I don't know why a lot of people were just born in like mid-December. Where was I? Yeah, I can finally bring this back, which I'm very excited about, and also don't really care about, but it's a mix of both. Let me just enable it. I saw that it works. It's finally time to remove this if false. And now, please work. I hope there's still an image there to load. There it is. We have desktop images now. It looks really crazy when there's an actual desktop image, because the pastel color of the system does not really match the background color. But I was thinking like get the average of an image type of thing, average color of an image, and use that as the background color when you load an image. I don't know. All of that I'm gonna figure out tomorrow. Beginner in OS stuff. Where do you think I should start? Well, if you're doing a course, just keep following the course. And then just try to make something simple. Even that very basic thing that I just did is obviously not an actual operating system or an actual computer, but something that has like very basic capabilities. Or, you know, other projects in C as well. Operating system development is quite complex as a starter project. So maybe something a little bit smaller. But hey, if you want to go all out, I'm not gonna tell you no. Other people might in the chat, but not me. Okay, so that's the plan probably for tomorrow. Then I just saw the email for it. There is a pull request. I mentioned this. About what to start with, I honestly don't know, because I've only done ARM. I don't know about x86, for example. Yeah, this pull request, which I don't know if I'm just gonna accept it or not. I don't know when I'm gonna start working with this, but I mentioned my last stream, I think it was. So either Monday or Wednesday, I mentioned that somebody asked me if they could do a parser and tokenizer for, well, a parser for JSON. And they ended up doing a string scanner, tokenizer, and parser. So I want to work with that a little bit, you know? There's my TOML parser is very stupidly put together. So it would be nice to... Why do I feel like there's a delay? Yeah, there's like a little bit of lag. but according to OBS stats, everything's good. So, okay, you're lying to me a little bit there, but whatever. As long as the stream looks okay, I don't care if it's a little bit delayed. Yeah, so I'm gonna look at this and then consider what I want to do with it. Like I said, the Tamil parser can be updated. I've mentioned doing a little bit of compiler, transpiler stuff. I don't know. Well, the power of string manipulation has increased tenfold with this pull request, or will once I merge it. So that's also a possibility. And I also did a little build system. So there's red C. Well, no, you shouldn't run it in the operating system. The operating system doesn't rely on it yet. But for example, when I was running this project, I was doing it with the red C build system, which is a very complex utility, or actually it's an entire like build system. It's very, very complex stuff. It's a shell script. It is literally just a project called red build that contains a pre-built makefile that's supposed to compile all of my operating system's third-party applications, kind of. You know, if you have special requirements, maybe it won't work for you, but for simple, normal stuff, it should work. It works for all my games. It could work with the terminal, for example, which is also just a third-party. Well, it's a userland application. It's made by me, but it's a userland application. It could work, but it's done in C++. So it kind of can't work with that, just because I haven't enabled C++ building for this makefile. But if I wanted to, I could. But I do plan on expanding this system quite a bit. So that you don't have to have a million makefiles in a million or I don't have to, because I have a million makefiles in a million different projects. But right now it's very limited. I built it on 2 different evenings at 3 and 1 a.m. respectively. So I'm surprised it works at all, to be completely honest. But it works. But I want to expand it a little bit. Maybe I wanted to be able to detect the dependencies that you have. So right now you need to have a config.mk file, which knows which dependencies your system has. It would be nice if it could rebuild those dependencies for you. Because that is an issue that I run into a lot, especially when I'm working on the game cross-platform. I have to recompile the operating system's standard library. Then I have to compile the game engine. Then I have to compile the library that provides cross-platform support. And then finally, I can compile the game. Actually didn't forget any dependencies. So if I could automate that, that would be cool. If I could also automate git pull to get the latest version of the dependencies, that would also be cool. Or to actually use version numbers for dependencies. Because, for example, I made some changes to my game engine in order to support the new stuff that I'm working on in this game, and I completely broke the way that it worked for my little Halloween game, which I don't plan on updating anymore. Or maybe small little updates that I've been doing here and there for that game, but not to the engine. So it would be great if it could be locked to a specific version. So maybe I'm going to do some build system stuff. And also, if you look at my projects, especially the operating system, but a lot of my projects, git log, a lot of them have this format where I've put here the module or the feature that I worked on, and then an explanation for what the commit is. Sometimes with some extra information in there, like the game engine has an example of it, I know. Or not. I thought it did. No, I didn't. Okay, never mind. Have you heard about CMake Hell by accident? Not by accident. Oh, here's well, no, this is not an example of that. Never mind. See, I want to build system that's specific to my project. I don't want to make it my project and my projects. I don't want to make it generic because then it's just gonna be one more bloated, overcomplicated, and buggy and shitty build system. So let's not do that. We already have plenty of those. I just want one that is specific to my system. It's specialized for that and my applications, the stuff that I built, and it works well for what I want to do. So we're trying to avoid using make or CMake because fuck them, essentially. CMake is kind of nice package manager. You can hook up easily. I've heard bad things about it. You might be the only person I've heard talking semi-nicely about it. Yeah, so all of my commits tend to have this format here. I don't know why. I was just like, you know what? Let me start doing this. So maybe I'll find a utility for that. Maybe I'll find out why I've been doing it. Why God compelled me to write my commits like this. Like some kind of automatic versioning system, not versioning system, like changelog system, for example. Or project status tracker of some sort. IDK. There's also like a lot of to-dos in my projects, which I would like to create an issue tracker for. I don't want to use CMake at all. I already hate make too much, and I've heard just even worse things about CMake, so let's not even mention it. But yeah, so there's all of those things for a build system, and finally, there are 2 sporadic bugs that happen. I can confirm, by the way, there was a bug that only happened on stream. It happened on stream. It blocked me from doing what I was doing. This happened on Sunday, I believe. I even ended the stream early because it was so frustrating I couldn't move forward. Then after a while I came back, I started to debug it, it never happened again. So the next day, I stream again, I'm like, hey, guess what? The bug fixed itself. I go to show how the bug fixed itself, shows up again, on stream. So then, I want to debug it off stream, doesn't happen anymore. But, I can confirm it happened again, off stream. So, it is officially a rare bug, but it is a bug. And I need to fix that. There's also another one in which some memory corruption is happening. I don't understand exactly why, but the system tries to access a pixel as if it was a value. I know it's a pixel because it starts with FF, as if it was a register in memory. And you know, you're not supposed to do that. So it crashes. I kind of want to find a way to detect these kinds of things. Not at run, well, yes, at runtime, but not every time the system runs. Just like a debug build of the system that has this kind of detection. I don't know how I want to build it. I was thinking that maybe I could like print a very detailed report of the status of memory of the system, because it is supposed to be kind of like grouped by who owns each part of the memory. Not always, but it is supposed to. And actually, this is going to help me find places in which it isn't and make it so. But yeah, I'm going to have to figure that out. some sort of system to find these sporadic bugs, find more information about them, find out why they're happening, maybe find a way to reproduce them reliably, and then fix them. As well as finding any other bugs that I might not be noticing right now. So I don't know how to do it. It's more so researching ways of doing it. And not gonna lie, I started looking into like, can the Rust philosophy help? I'm not talking about moving to Rust, but just like learning from them. The answer is no. Unless you make your own compiler, because that's pretty much what Rust relies on. It's understandable, but I don't know. People build up Rust as this like second coming of Terry Davis, of Holy See. So you kind of expect a lot from them. And then it's just a basic language with the basic memory safety. There's a lot of them, but Rust is special. Anyway, there's probably a lynch mob of Rustaceans forming outside my house. So I'm gonna end the stream here. And put on a fake mustache and escape. Alright. Yeah, so gonna do some theme stuff tomorrow, something a little bit light like that. And then after that, Sunday and Monday, probably gonna do that build system stuff, probably gonna do that debugging tools stuff. I don't know. Fun stuff going on there. Started making myself make variables const. Yeah. No, I just meant like if Rust happens to have any runtime tools that I could also try to yoink from them, but they don't. Everything is compile time. So unless you make your own compiler, which I do want to, and hey, guess what? We have a tokenizer now. Tokenizer. So I also, that's another thing that's gonna come up soon. A compiler is inevitable at this point. And closer than ever. I don't know if 2025 or 2026, but it is going to happen. Rust people love their compiler so much they came up with a kernel architecture that only works with the borrow checker from Rust. Are you serious? Are you serious? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This feels like a threat. I'm not gonna lie to you. A novel OS architecture. Oh boy. What? This is the most non-descriptive fucking useless graph I have ever seen. What even is the difference between these two? It's like, oh, this one's slightly thicker. Alright, tell me what's going on here. It needs to be sound, expressive, efficient, and minimalist. Like Rust. Today I found out that a Rust Hello World is 3 megabytes. And if you strip down all the useless parts, it's about 400 megabytes. Just for reference, I'm also very proud of this. Any chance I get to show it. $700 kilobytes for the entire OS. Just FYI. Is this another hybrid architecture between monolithic and microkernel? I know. Feels like it. It's kind of what I'm doing too, but I'm not doing it with Rust, so it's inherently worse. Oh, you want me to read all of this? Writing a kernel in 100 lines of safe Rust. We start with assembly. The safest fucking language. Alright, if we don't start with assembly, we got a real big problem. So, cool. It's just me being stupid. It's what most OS devs do. I think it's really difficult to build a fully monolithic or fully microkernel architecture. You end up doing something in between. Or you have big drawbacks. Something in between reduces the drawbacks by a lot. Even just a little bit in between. Like 99% macrokernel, 1% micro. No, I feel like the video is lagging. I don't know what's happening to my camera. So it's not just you, it's the camera or whatever. Let me turn it off and on again. See if that fixes it. That doesn't fix it. All right, I'm ending the stream soon, so I'm not gonna debug that. I'm just gonna cut my losses. VM? 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 Are we doing... Is it just a virtual machine? As in... I don't know, what's the fucking plan here? Virtual memory. Okay, thank God. I immediately went to oh yeah. Thank you. I immediately went to virtual machine and I'm just like, are they just putting the damn thing in a virtual machine? Is that the big improvement here? Yeah, the Rust borrow checker does not seem worth it in like 90% of cases. Create VM space for the program binary, activate it, create user task, and run. Well, of course you can build an operating system in 100 lines. Shit. For that matter, I just did it in probably about the same. 130 lines. You're not actually writing an operating system here. Compress everything in one line. Like those JavaScript minified frameworks. Hell yeah. Yeah, so just feel like you didn't write the entire thing in 100 lines. You're more so relying on something that already exists, be it the Rust library or it feels like 90% of the kernel is in a library. Yeah, exactly. 100 lines. Hold on. Let me write an operating system. An entire operating system is actually built. My entire operating system, all of it, is actually all. No, wait. I'm a little lost. Where is it? Okay, here it is. All right here. 115 lines of assembly. Beat that. Beat that. And ignore this call to main. Ignore that. Reminds me of this guy I saw write a fluid simulation in Python. First step was importing the fluid simulation library. It's like that meme. Was it like Dave built a megaphone? Thinking quickly, Dave constructs a homemade megaphone using only some string, a squirrel, and a megaphone. That's how you wrote a fucking kernel in 100 lines of Rust. There's literally no code here. What is going on? Use OSTD power, use OSTD prelude, use OSTD task, use OSTD user. Oh, well, that's fucking convenient. You didn't write a kernel here. I mean, they wrote the kernel, sure. Here. But like, what are you doing? Why are you boasting of like, it's actually so simple, it's just 100 lines of Rust. No, the fuck it's not. You can't just write a kernel into a library and then pretend that the library allows you to write kernels. No, it doesn't. You built a kernel and packaged it in a library, and then you called that library. You're literally not doing any of that. You're also starting your operating system standard library documentation with a fucking Confucius quote. With the original Chinese. Oh my god, I cannot stand Rust programmers, I swear to god. They have a genuinely good thing. They've ruined it, which is the way that they are. It's so annoying. I have genuinely cannot remember the last time I talked to a Jehovah's Witness, and yet I feel bad comparing Rust people to them. I feel it's unfair towards the Jehovah's Witnesses, because I've genuinely not spoken to those people in years. Whereas Rust people are hard to escape and so intense. The aforementioned criteria, how did you do it? You rose to meet the challenge that you yourself created. Have it been implemented in safe Rust by leveraging OSTD? Tell me if I'm reading this wrong. Let me read the entire thing. In designing and implementing OSTD, we have risen to meet the challenges of fulfilling the aforementioned 4 criteria as demanded by the frame kernel architecture. Expressiveness is evident through Astarina's kernel itself, where all system calls, file systems, network protocols, and device drivers, like VirtIO drivers, have been implemented in safe Rust by leveraging OSTD. So the library. Okay, but first off, we've already established that the kernel is just calling the library. Because you just put your whole kernel in a library and then pretend that you can write kernels very easily. But then, the library follows the criteria as shown by the kernel because the kernel calls the library. Is it me or are you saying nothing? It feels like they're saying nothing. Adopting a minimalist philosophy, OSTD has a small code base. At its core lies the OSTD crate, currently encompassing about 10,000 lines of code, a figure that is even smaller than those of many microkernels. I'll give you that much. Mine is 31,000. I'll give you that. Then again, the binary fits within like a hello world application of Rust, so I'm good. Actually, several times over. The OSTD's efficiency is measurable through the performance metrics of its APIs and the system calls for Astarina's kernel. No intrinsic limitations has been identified within Rust or the frame kernel architecture that could hinder kernel performance. Soundness, unlike the other 3 requirements, is not as easily quantified or proved. While formal verification stands as the gold standard, it requires considerable resources and time and it's not an immediate priority. Okay. As a more pragmatic approach, we will explain why the high-level design is sound in the soundness analysis and rely on the many eyes of the community to catch any potential flaws in the implementation. Lines of code is a stupid metric, right? Yeah, it is. Look, not even talking about that. For that matter, size of executable is a better metric, but I'm really just bragging about the fact that I reduced my executable from 3 megabytes to 700 kilobytes in like one afternoon for the sake of it. Literally meaningless, but it was fun. But yeah, the lines of code is just absolutely useless as a metric. It's the kind of thing that Elon Musk would consider to be a good metric. As in, he did. Okay, we're in section 4. We haven't read all of them, but we're in section 4 and we have gotten a grand total of absolutely no useful information from this. You haven't told me a single thing about how Rust helps in doing this. They suck hard at explaining their own thing. Yes, they do. They split the kernel into library bits and designed it in a way where the borrow checker will make it very hard to write broken code. That's pretty much what I'm understanding of it, but like, okay. So I break my kernel into a library and now I created a library for kernels. Except I didn't, but sure. How many CPU cycles does your OS take? 3 billion. Genuinely, nothing here actually explains, at least looking at this, I'm not reading all of this, but like, you have 4 different metrics that are just the kernel of your kernel, if you will. They're the core principles of pillars upon which your entire operating system library, and by definition, the countless operating systems that you can build with this, by definition, the countless kernels that you can build on this, which expands to unfathomable amounts of actual operating systems that you can build off of those countless kernels. Truly some exponential shit going on here. All rely on these 4 pillars. I have it here. Hold on. It's literally them. Okay, these are the pillars of your project. Oh, would you look at that? Oops. And you haven't explained any of them. The aforementioned 4 criteria. Here they are. Requirement and tension between the requirement. How does your system do that? Should be kept as small as possible. Okay. Should empower developers to implement a substantial range of OS functionalities in safe Rust using the APIs. Okay. As long as the code is verified by the Rust toolchain, soundness ensures that the OS framework... Okay. And is considered sound if no undefined behavior shall be triggered by whatever safe Rust code that a programmer may write using their APIs. This is just utterly meaningless. Could I take redacted OS, change a few lines, and call it my own kernel? Probably not. No, you would call it a fork of it. What you could do is change the processes, and then you could call it your distribution of it. Kind of like you do with Linux, except Linux is distributed as a kernel. Whereas mine is distributed as a kernel with processes, userland, all of it. So not quite, but a little bit like that. But the library, yeah, you could just take my code, package it into a library, and all of a sudden you made a different product, technically. You made it into a library. For that matter, I can do that. I can just turn this, instead of an executable, instead of a .elf.bin file, I'll just create a .a, and then you have to integrate it into your code and just call this function. That's it. That's all you have to do. Literally, this is your kernel. The rest is in a library. If you just change the definition of things, you can make them mean whatever you want. But yeah, these 4 pillars are so meaningless. You would think they would explain how they've implemented them to be this way. This should be the introduction, and then they've explained how they implemented them, but no, they're just going in circles. They're just it's 100 lines of code, but it's a 10,000 lines of code, but it's just a giant loop. It's just going in circles. It just never explains anything. All right. Well, feel like kind of makes sense. You know what? I'm not gonna say that. All right. I'm just gonna end the stream here, and I'm gonna go turn my system, my kernel, into a library so that I can then claim that I built the kernel operating system standard library in C, because they built it in Rust already. They already took the name. All right, thank you so much everybody for joining. So tomorrow I'm actually going back to the operating system stuff. I'm gonna be doing the game stuff in the off stream a little bit. Tomorrow I'm doing some low stakes UI stuff, some chill weekend, end of year programming. After that, build system immediately, like fucking roller coaster. All right, thank you so much everybody. I will see you tomorrow.